Do you guys like coffee? I love it, man, especially cold brew. And the one thing I can't stand is coffee that tastes burned, you know? Some of these corporate coffee companies source their coffee beans from multiple large farms. These beans undoubtedly have mold on them and need to be burned so they can use them in their batches. That sounds unhealthy and downright gross to me. I don't know about you. That sounds disgusting. The answer to this is Caveman Coffee Company. These guys are passionate about making great coffee from single source origin while focusing on quality and the health of their customers. Go to their website now and check out their nitro cold brew, their latte, their pumpkin spice, their MCT oil, and much, much more. You can head over to cavemancoffeeco.com and enter promo code ROCK at checkout to receive 15% off your order today. Again, that's promo code ROCK at checkout to receive 15% off. What's up, everyone? It's episode 79 of the Rock Savages podcast. As always, you guys can find us on rocksavagepod.com, and you can find us on all of the major podcast platforms such as Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, and YouTube, just to name a few. Now, today's guest has been on the podcast several times before. It's Chris Tapp from the Cold Stairs, man. Chris is becoming a good friend of ours along with his drummer, Brian. The Cold Stairs are damn hard-working rock and roll heavy blues band from Evansville, Indiana, if you guys haven't heard of them yet. They spend a lot of time recording, writing, and touring, you know, except as of late, obviously, because no one's touring with all this COVID-19 stuff. And, you know, we kind of get into that a little bit. We talk about how the coronavirus has affected them, and it's pretty substantial, along with any other musical artists that you know and have been looking forward to seeing live. These guys had a big year planned, and it all just fell to pieces, along with, of course, a lot of other bands. It's kind of heartbreaking, you know, to hear it, because, you know, this is going to be their biggest year yet as far as touring goes, and right now it's just not working out. It's just a waiting game for everyone in the music industry as of right now, so we'll see how all of this pans out. The guys just recorded a new record at Sam Phillips' studio, and they have yet to release it, but they will, I'm sure, in the very near future. In the meantime, they've done a new EP during their whole break, and you know, they're going to release it very soon, so look out for that. You know, check them out on their website and check them out on Facebook and Instagram for sure, man. Follow them. They're a hardworking band, and they deserve your time and attention if you're into heavy blues. Now, this episode starts out a little rough. We had some technical difficulties. Brian was supposed to be on the podcast, too. We were trying to do a three-way call, but it just didn't work out. And you all know us. We don't really edit much, so we just let it roll. We keep it raw, and, you know, we try to make it not very edited, you know. We want it to be as real as we possibly can. We get into a little commentary on the recent passing of Little Richard and all of that stuff before Chris gets on the podcast. So, you know, it's just how podcasting goes. You know, I just recently listened to a podcast with Mark Maron. He was doing, you know, two of the biggest movie stars on the planet. That would be, you know, Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio. And Mark has one of the biggest podcasts in the world, and he was having technical issues, and he was kind of having meltdowns on the episode. It was really, it's kind of cool to hear, you know? I'm glad he left it all in there. That's how podcasts go. I don't like it when they're so polished and they sound like radio, you know? It's not fun, and it's not the same thing, so we just left it in there, and, man, we hope you guys enjoy it. It does turn into a really good conversation, so just pull through it and take a listen. Follow the Cold Stairs anywhere on social media. and add them to your Spotify list. That's a huge thing for artists, and it's a huge thing for them. They need your support. So if you dig them, check them out. We love them. They're a great rock and roll band. They're great live. They're great on album. And we'll just get into it, man. This is Chris Tapp from the Cold Stairs. Record, you know what I mean?
Yeah, why not?
What's going on?
See what happens.
Yeah, man. We're going to call Chris Tapp and Brian from the Cold Stairs, so let's give it a shot.
See if they answer.
What's going on, brother?
Chris, what's up, dude?
I don't know a whole lot. How about you?
I don't know anything either, man.
Been doing some killer podcasts lately, man.
Oh, thank you, man. You been listening?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Cool,
Loving them, man.
Yeah, we've been fortunate enough to have some people say yes to coming on, so it's been working out okay.
Yeah, all the musicians have been really busy lately.
Yeah. Good timing, right?
Right?
Yeah. Well, you just take the opportunity when you can get it, I guess. Everyone's bored at home, and, so it's kind of been working out. That's kind of been the strategy. I just wanted to call you guys and catch up with you because it sounds like you got some things going on.
Yeah, moving a little bit, moving and shaking a little bit. Hang on just a second. I'll add Brian in on the call.
Okay, no problem.
Hang on.
Ring.
It's opportunity calling. Will you answer?
Who knows? We're getting yet another drummer on the podcast. Oh, boy.
Bang.
Never mind. Nothing to see here, folks.
Yeah, right.
Just some tripods falling down. No big deal. Yeah, little Richard, man. Passed away today. Or yesterday? Was it today? Or
Tutti frutti, motherfucker.
Yeah. I mean, icon of rock and roll for sure.
For sure, but I'm sounding terrible. I'm not even going to say it because I'll sound like an asshole.
I mean, we just don't. I just don't listen to him, never did. But I'll tip my hat to the guy. Why not?
Yeah, fuck yeah. Pioneer.
Fucking breaking ground.
Wearing makeup before it was cool.
Yeah? Did you wear makeup back in the day?
Obviously,
Or did that come later?
I don't know about back in the day. I'm not steeped in the history of Little Richard.
I'll have to go back and look. Check him out. Yeah, I just watched the documentary on the band.
Did you watch the whole thing?
I did. It was pretty good. Executive directors are Martin Scorsese and
Oh, shit. Hang on 1 second, Bo. Sorry about this.
no problem, man. We're just shooting the shit, so it's all good. But yeah, it was pretty good. Executive director Martin Scorsese and Ron Howard, did a good job.
Opie?
Yep, good old Opie.
Opie made it big.
I think he surpassed. Yeah, definitely. We lost Chris. We'll call him back in a second. But yeah, that's just kind of how it goes in the podcast world. We'll call back in a minute. But yeah, man, I mean, it was good. It was really good. I mean, even if you're not a huge fan of the band, it's an very interesting story, on just how things were, like, in the mid-'60s and how different shit was. It was a totally different world, Chris is calling back. 1 second. Hello again.
Hey, man. Have I still got both you guys on there?
Yeah, we're on here.
Okay, shit. Sorry.
No
Fucking
problem.
drummers. What's wrong with drummers?
I know, man. We're just, we're kind of...
I'm going to try him one more time. Hang on.
It's all good.
Yeah, I meant to watch it, but it was like an hour and 40 minutes, and I have a hard time allocating an hour and 40 minutes right now.
Right, I had to do it late at night when everybody was in bed. I was like, I'm just going to get up and watch this thing. It's pretty good. We might have the director on soon. Talk to him about this film. It's a very interesting story. Kind of sad story.
Yeah?
Yeah, very cool though. We'll
dig into that later.
Yeah, I recommend it. Once everyone's asleep, I'm not sure the family would dig it, but maybe. No. Brian, where are you?
He just texted me. Says every time I hit answer, it says call failed. The fuck, I
don't know. Hey, we can have him on separately. I'll call him. Maybe one time if he wants to talk about some drums.
Yeah. I'll give him one. I'm gonna give him one more try.
Okay.
If he get on
Third time's a charm.
Yep. Or 3 strikes, you're out,
Yeah,
man.
that's another analogy.
That's all good either way. We'll figure it out. So Little Richard gone, man. All the big ones are kind of shuffling off.
Yeah, Little Richard's trending.
Oh yes, I mean it blew up.
Yeah, well, I'm giving up on him. You guys, I'll give you his number. You can give him a shout afterwards if you want to.
Okay.
You can throw him in on some stuff.
Yeah,
Right
maybe
on.
we'll do a separate one, and we'll go just do a whole different conversation with him. It's fine, no problem.
I hate to be that Diamond Dave guy that never includes anybody else in the band. So I'm just
That's okay.
trying to
He's
be,
just a drummer.
Hey man,
yeah, I know.
hey man, come on guys.
Exactly.
Yeah, we've had a lot of drummers on here lately.
Yeah, man.
So we
Good ones.
Yeah, well, world class, dude. I mean, JP from Clutch. I mean,
Yeah, that was great.
I'm having a hard time trying to find to think of somebody who's so famous and so humble still to this day after grinding out for 25 years and still so much in love with what he's doing. It's he's a next level kind of person. Very very cool dude. So what's going on with you, man? How's the quarantine life treating you?
Man, it's been rough, to be honest.
Yeah.
The first thing whenever we got kind of locked down, I thought, well, first of all, I didn't think it would last that long, and then when I realized it was going to last that long, and I thought, well, this will be a good opportunity. I've got a bunch of stuff I'm working on music-wise. I'll just sit here and record a bunch of stuff.
Right.
And so probably about, I mean, shit, dude, I couldn't get motivated at all. I mean, about the first 2 weeks, I kept trying to just get down and record and to write, and I just couldn't. There was no creativity at all.
Right.
And so then I just I played some guitar and just kind of gave up on it for a while. I bought my kid a bike, started biking in the neighborhood, and just got busy doing some other stuff. I was doing some Skype lessons on guitar and some other stuff, just staying busy trying to make a little bit of money to pay the bills while we were down. But
right.
About a week and a half ago, it just kind of hit me back again, and I wrote 5 or 6 songs in one day, started tracking them, sent them over to Brian. We started working on this EP thing. But man, I wasted a good month and a half just because it kind of felt like I was in a bad dream or something. I just couldn't get my mind around. I always want to be home with nothing to do so I can work on music. I finally was, and I was like, I just couldn't get it going. So
yeah, it's strange, man. It kind of can creep into your psyche because the future now is unknown for sure. It always is, but at this point, this is like a game changer. I don't think it's anything good either. It's affected me kind of in the same way, but we're staying pretty busy with the music. We have a lot of material that we're trying to sort out, so we're just kind of digging in. What do you think?
Seems to be the case. I mean, what else you got going on? It's not like you can go anywhere.
Right.
I mean, I was a little. You know what? It didn't really change much for me. Actually, I've got to spend a little more time doing music. But fuck, it's a little depressing.
Yeah.
I'm not quite the doomsdayer that Bo is. I think we'll get back to normal relatively quick. I think it'll happen like rapidly. It may change the way people interact a little bit, I think. Out in public, maybe less handshaking, and maybe some things that did need to happen. Maybe people will start doing, maybe washing their hands more, being a little more conscious of others and not coming to work when you're fucking sick or, not being in contact with people when you are feeling ill. I think those are good practices to begin with.
Yeah. So, I mean, the 6 feet thing, I'm down with. That should always be the case. But, it's just like the thing that bothers me the most is we're starting to see the early ramifications of the small market economy. All the venues, Chris, that me and you and Paul and Brian play, the small rooms, the 150 cap rooms, are they even going to fucking be there when we get out?
That's the thing. That's the thing. I think that out of everybody involved, I don't know that anybody will be affected out of this the way musicians will, because I can't I'm kind of in between you guys. I think that things will get back going. Like in Indiana here, my wife's shop opened last Monday. They're letting some things open up. Restaurants, I think, can open next week at a certain capacity. But I can't imagine when they're going to allow bars to get packed to see concerts and stuff again, you know?
Right.
And venues like that. I mean, everything that we had, this was a huge year for us. In December, I was looking at this year. We had Louder Than Life, you know, with Metallica. We had Aftershock in Sacramento, California. We had Rock USA. So the three biggest rock festivals in the States, we're playing all three of them. We're doing Bonamassa's cruise in August. We had, you know, what looked like the biggest year. If you'd have told me then that we wouldn't play any of these shows from some virus, I would have said you're crazier than shit.
Right.
So, you know, I don't know, but everything that we have this year so far is canceled, and I can't imagine. I can't imagine that it comes back up.
Maybe not.
Not this year.
Right.
Not this year. Yeah.
But hey, man, I mean, there's a lot of tours that have not canceled yet. So I mean, maybe some people will just trailblaze right through it, and so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, we'll see. You know, I'm trying to be optimistic too. I'm just concerned, is all.
Yeah.
I'm not so much a doomsday guy. I'm just like, oh God, and I think that's the part that kind of depresses you a little bit. You just don't know. Like I said, the unknown is what's kind of freaking me out. But we'll see how it goes, man.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I don't, you know, I'm hoping for the best. In the meantime, we have to figure out a way to be in a band other than, you know, making music, which is great, making music and putting it out. But these show things, you know, we're doing a live concert, not this Saturday or not today, but next Saturday.
Yeah.
And then we're doing, Bonamassa's doing a telethon thing, and we're doing part of that. And so we just got to figure out a way to start broadcasting live stuff. But
right,
it is a different world, man. It's going to be a different world for the next year or so. My only fear on all this stuff is if we open up too quick and then it spreads and then you got mass panic. I don't want this stuff to close down again. It's been closed down once.
Right.
I'd rather it be a little slow opening and careful than if it shuts down again, man. My wife will lose her business. I know a lot of people are going to really get tanked.
Yeah, I don't think we can shut down again. So I think whatever's coming is going to come. There's a lot of data coming out. There's more and more coming out because the bottom line is we didn't know anything about it really. Need something, but I mean from the narratives that I'm listening to, and it's doctors, but it's not the mainstream hysterical doctors that are, you know, on one side of the aisle or the other. It's like these guys, they're going by the science, you know, and it's like,
yeah,
they're much more measured in their response to it. It's like, and let's not shut down the whole world, but let's isolate the folks that are most vulnerable. I think that's probably the way to go. The Sweden model, you know what I mean, where they didn't close down anything. They just isolated old people basically, and they just let the young people get it if they're going to get it, and get that herd immunity going quicker, you know?
Yeah.
So that's, I don't see us sustaining another shutdown in this level at all. But
I don't either.
I'm not an expert, so, you know, it's just gut feeling stuff and stuff I've been listening to from people who know more than me.
Yeah,
so.
I'm kind of the same. There's so many lunatic videos out there and shit. And my wife, you know, she watches some of this stuff. Somebody else send it to her, and I'm like, okay, you know, I don't know if I believe this or I don't believe this, but how does it affect us?
Right.
Like if Fauci or one of these guys is making $1 billion on this, what are we going to do about that? And, you know, how does that affect me making a record right now? It doesn't. Right. So I'm not going to worry about anything that's out of my control anyway. It's just, I don't see any point in it.
Right. Yeah, that's a good mindset. It's just you can only control what you can, and that's basically what's under your roof, you know, what's
exactly
in your neighbors. You
know, gauge your surroundings,
yeah.
Check the temperatures, you know, of the people you are with and interact with, and don't believe every fucking thing you read, though, sometimes.
Yeah, right.
I mean, there's so much information out there that is either misleading or misrepresented, and statistics that are twisted to look a certain way to fit a certain idea or some agenda. Sometimes you got to look around and see what's around you.
Yeah, no need to get hysterical. That's one thing I can't stand is hysterical people. You know, it's like
I'm the same.
Yeah.
I'm the same. Just calm down, man.
Yeah.
Just calm down.
Yeah, yeah,
Hey, you're the first one to die in a horror movie.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. If you're
Exactly.
hysterical, you're
Pull your
tripping
shit together.
You're tripping over the log first, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, I mean, you guys were working at Sam Phillips again. Is that what this EP is?
No, we started a record down there, and the plan was we were going to track drums and guitar and some things down there, and then come back up here, and I was going to finish some vocals in my studio here and finish some overdubs, and then go back down and mix it. And one of the reasons why we like to mix it at Sam is they have these reverb chambers and stuff there that we can use, and it's just real old school, nice to do it down there that way. And so in the time period that we left down there and we were supposed to be back, which was about 3 weeks, you know, the whole world collapsed. So we have a whole record that's basically done. We're just waiting to get back to Sam to mix it. And I want to hold off probably if we can and mix it there because we just started that process there. I like to finish it there. But these other songs were just, man, after just sitting around for a while, I finally started writing, and we're kind of at the point now where I have a studio here and Brian has a studio at his house that we're functioning in well enough to, I mean, prior to this, I would have said we're functioning well enough to make some good demos.
Right.
But actually, these tracks sound great, man. So I think now going forward, the good news is that we both buckled down and figured out the proper way to make recordings. If we don't want to use another studio, we can do it here. So I've been writing tracks to either a click track or a drum loop that I make, and then kind of scoring the song out and then sending it over to Brian, and then Brian replaces the drums and sends it back to me, and I finish parts out, and then we send it to a friend of ours in Memphis to mix. So that's one thing that we've learned that's going to be good out of this, because now, I mean, we'll see how this EP goes with our fans and what they think about the sounds. It's quite a bit different sounding than Heavy Shoes, but I'm proud that we did it, you know, without having to go into a regular studio. And we've always produced our own stuff anyway, so that wasn't a problem. But I think we were both a little cautious that we might be able to get the sounds that we wanted out of our own studios.
Right.
It's incredible what you can do, you know, on I don't want to say a low budget, but a moderate budget, you know, in a home studio or a, you know, put together studio that, you know, years ago you couldn't do. I mean, you can duplicate there's so much software and gear out there that it's pretty much endless. The possibilities are endless. You could, you know, work on. It's just, we find the same problem is getting this headspace to where it's like, is it good enough? Do I, you know, what do I want to change? Do I want to let someone else be an outside influence, or am I too one-sided or short-sighted on what this needs to sound like or should sound like? But that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And my biggest problem has been, if we're in Memphis, you know, we track a song, and then I'll go out there and play an organ part, then I'll come back and I'll play a bass part to it, and it's time for the vocal, and I'll go out there and sing a vocal. And this, I mean, we'll do a whole song in an hour and a half, 2 hours. When I'm doing a vocal, I'll sing it, and then I'll come back in and bounce it off the engineer. Hey, you know, and I said, well, second verse, you had one thing that was kind of weird. Then we'll re-sing that or get another pass, and then we're done. Here at the house, I'll sing something and listen to it the next day, and then it's just, I need somebody to go, hey, stop. Okay, it's good. Go.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, over criticize.
Yeah, and you have, you know, I've got a bunch of guitars and amps here at the house, and you could get lost and overdo it. So you have to, and I've kind of always done this, whether it's songwriting or whether it's whatever we do. I kind of pretend, I do actors in my head of what would the producer say, what would the bass player say, what would the other guitar player do, you know, and just try to really do that, because if I'm left to my own vices, it may end up sounding like some metal Beatles record or something, you know.
Yeah, you could just license that out, for like a cartoon or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important to get an outside perspective sometimes because, my previous band, we had our own studio for years. We had 2 of them, and we thought we were going to be all, very productive, and it just turned into we don't have any pressure on us at all, so let's just take our time. So it would take 2 years to do records, man, and I think sometimes it's beneficial to have a crew around you and to have a little bit of pressure,
I think so too. I've always put things on timelines. Like I'd come in and tell Brian, like I told earlier this year, I was like, okay, we're going to do 3 records this year, and
Jesus.
the first one's going to be out in May, and it's like, man, or a gig. Hey, we got scheduled a gig for 2 weeks from now. We got to play an hour and a half. We got 30 minutes worth of music. If I don't have those deadlines to really make you hustle and work, it's just, I think it's easy to get,
complacent
put it
for
off.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been thinking about you guys a lot, man. You're very prolific, man. You write a lot. You guys have been releasing so many recordings as of late. It's like by the time this is all said and done, you can go back out on the road. You don't really have to record anything else for a while. You can just go tour and tour and tour. So that could be a good thing for you,
I think we always will. I mean, I probably always will put out as much as I can because I think it's so hard right now to get above the noise in the fray. So, if you were asking a fan, like I always think, if I was asking a fan that didn't know the Cold Stairs, I said, hey man, check out this band. And they said, why? And if they ask the questions, well, are they like, have they been together longer than Clutch? No.
Right.
Do they have a guitar player that plays faster than Joe Bonamassa? No. Are they, and go through these questions, well, what is it about them? And I think at the end of the day, what I want to say at the end of the career is they put out consistently good records and wrote really good, solid songs and didn't, they built a catalog that didn't have a lot of filler in it.
Right.
And I'd rather like at the end of this year, I'd like somebody to look at the year and go, holy shit, man, they put out 3 freaking records and all the songs are good and all the songs are, solid and it's whatever. I think because I think you have to look at yourself and say, what's the best thing that I can do? And I kind of have an endless tap creativity on writing.
Right.
That never really, never really dries up completely. Sometimes I have to get creative about it, but I'm just trying to work the strongest thing we can. So I'm going to continually, eventually I want somebody to go, shit, man, when does it end?
Yeah.
Right.
Just keep them coming.
I think it's a good work ethic, It's like you guys kind of remind me, not so much stylistically, but like of how much work you're putting out. It would be like the band All Them Witches, because they put out 6 albums in around 5 years, and it's like, geez, I mean that's how you build an audience once you guys get back out on the road.
Yeah, and I think nowadays, like on Spotify and stuff, I think you at least have to put a single out every 3 months if you don't put an EP or a record out to stay relevant and to stay in the numbers. Yeah.
Right.
That's the way it is. I mean, people have short attention spans. If you catch it, you got to keep it.
Right. I mean, we're in the phase now where we have so much material. I'm looking at our board on the wall here. It's like we're starting to lose track a little bit. So who knows how we're going to release it? It might be a single thing, Maybe we'll just do like 4 or 5 songs and then just do a single every 3 or 4 months, That's probably the best way to go at this point,
It's not a bad way to do it. You have to, just like the playlists and stuff that we're in on Spotify, they keep our numbers at a certain, I think we stay right around 200,000 listeners a month, and we don't put out anything for the next year, and some of those playlists fall off. Yeah. It just continually goes down, and then people go, well, they're not really doing anything. So,
well, yeah, or they'll just forget. Yeah,
because
there's so much other shit coming their way.
There's so much out there to listen to.
Right. It's like it's a little overwhelming sometimes. I really got to pick and choose as just a fan of what I'm going to listen to, and for me as a fan, as a listener, it's just like I don't have a choice. It's just like I like this and I can't stop listening to it, kind of thing. So it's like I don't know if everyone's that way, but you would like to
I'm like that. And I think about, like, if I go pick up my kids sometimes, or I go visit my dad. Let's say if I go visit my dad, it's a 45-minute drive. There's only so many. What am I going to fill with 45 minutes?
Yeah.
And immediately, before I even look at anything new, I haven't heard a Zeppelin album in a while, or I haven't heard some Sabbath or whatever else. It's so many things competing for your ear.
Right.
But it's just all them witches, for example. If I get a thing on Friday that says, from Spotify, says there's new music by an artist that you love, and it's on there, I just kind of make a mental note, and I know at some point during the day, whenever I get quiet time or whenever I got a minute or I'm in the car, I'm going to check that out. But without that, it might be a year later, me talking to a friend and go, hey man, did you hear that, all them witches record or whatever? And so I think it's kind of good that the digital platforms kind of push some of that stuff out, and you just have to be part of that machine,
right,
and make sure you're feeding them enough ammunition to stay. And you got to tie in social media, all this other crap. I hate social media stuff, but it's such a
necessity.
It's so important.
Yeah, just doing the podcast. The podcast and music is pretty much the same hustle these days. You got to constantly release content, or people are going to forget about you. Now, I have a question, and I can kind of relate to it in a way, because I had a guitar player in Maryland, still do. We're not doing much right now, but we were doing stuff online, and it kind of seems to affect our inspiration a lot when we're not in the room together. It turns more into work, which we do it, we push through it, but it's just not the same as when you're in a room and you're really getting the vibe down. Like, do you and Brian currently jam in a room together at all, or are you just staying separate?
No, we don't, man. We prior to all this stuff going on, we would. And usually what that would mean would be, if we were in a writing mode, or if I said I was working on something, I might have a riff that come in with, and I'll say, hey man, it's a 6/8 thing, and it's around 100 beats a minute or whatever. Or I might say, hey, it's this kind of feel, that kind of feel. And we just kind of jam it out. And then usually it gives me a little bit more idea how to finish the song. And I'd come back and finish it and then present it to him. There's always times that we're jamming something, if we're just jamming around and all. We used to do that and record a lot, and I go back and listen and go, oh man, that's cool. And then I'd take that and write a song from it. But now at this point, really, it's just from a time standpoint, it's easier for me to just go down and write something. And I know Brian well enough, we've been playing long enough, that just like the EP stuff, I know what he's going to play. I know what his 3 options are going to be.
Right.
Before I even send it over. So I'm already going, hey man, I know you're going to want to jam this section, but you're going to need to lay back, and it's more Beastie Boys than it is,
right,
JP or whatever. So
yeah.
I just we know each other well enough that I don't have to be in the same room. Having said that, if we had time, I'd love to have an opportunity, give me some amps and a few guitars, and Brian in a room where we just sit in a room for jam for a week. We'd write a ton of stuff, but I'm inspired to write the riff or to write the song as much by a movie that I just watched, or the conversation that I had, as much as I am a beat, so doesn't have to be in a room anymore.
What if though? What if during this quarantine you don't see him for a while, and he adds another kick drum and he starts doing some Tool patterns, dude, like 16/8. He's like, I wrote this, man. Write a song.
Yeah, I'd write something to it. We'd figure it out.
Yeah. That'd be cool. That'd be cool too.
Yeah.
You guys just start losing your shit and just like, I'm adding more gear, man. I'm adding more gear.
Yeah.
You get some gear fever. You have a lot of guitars, I've noticed on Instagram. How
man, I don't have as many as it appears. I have a good collection now, but most of so for the last 5 years, my income has been, supplemented by teaching guitar and then buying and selling guitars. And I've done that for 20 years. And I have a lot of friends that will call me and say, hey man, I'm looking for an R8 Les Paul. I'm looking for this. I've gotten pretty good at finding deals and being able to kind of decipher the market and just kind of watch things. So I'll buy and sell. I sold, it's crazy, man. I sold 4 guitars in the last 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it's in all high end stuff. And I really thought the market was going to crash and nothing would be moving right now, but people are still buying. The stuff that I have in the collection that stays in the collection is the stuff that either Fender has given me or given me an artist deal on, and I feel obligated to keep those, and I wouldn't sell those. But other than that, anything in my collection, a lot of it will come and go.
Is it mostly Fender, or do you do all kinds of stuff?
I always used all kinds of stuff. What was predominantly, I would end up using a Tele or a Strat or a Les Paul at the end of the day. And I think the good thing with Fender, the deal with them made me kind of focus on just the Fender stuff instead of playing any kind of Gibson or whatever else. And what I learned was most of those sounds, like a Les Paul sound, I can find with the right Tele, but there's just a lot more sonic options. There's a lot more on the menu with the single coils and with the Fender stuff than I could get with the other stuff. So it's made me sonically a little bit, made my palette a little bit wider to do that. So right now, the new EP I did all with Fender. Look, man, Fender's been really, really good to me, and not only that. The people at Fender are friends of mine now, and I can honestly say that I've had other endorsements prior to Fender. I had a Gibson endorsement,
wow,
and a couple other. And the people at Fender treat the guy that's endorsed me that has 4,000 followers just the same as the guy that has 40,000 or 400,000.
Nice.
They are cultivating relationships, and they're just great people, man. So it makes me, when you're in that situation, it makes you want to play it even more. Not only just the way that they treat me, but the way that I see them treat other people. Because one endorsement deal I had prior to this one, specifically without naming names, was just a lot of horrible people.
Right. Yeah, you can get that, especially if it gets into the corporate mantra, gets into the corporate attitude. It's like, we don't really care that much about you. We're selling this many units every year. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It takes all the fun and inspiration out of it. There's nothing better than, a good guitar, a good drum kit. I mean, it's worth spending the money on to have the good stuff. For sure.
Yeah, and with guitars, man, it can be the guitars are like paintbrushes to me. I have to kind of rotate and get new stuff, or put something up and not play it for a month and then get it back out, because every time I pick something up new, it's got a different sound. It plays different. They always make me write. Like, all that's always inspiring me to come up with a new riff or come up with a new song. So they're really tools for songwriting in that response. And that could be a cheap guitar, it could be a bass, it could be an expensive guitar, it could be something that's got a twangy string that's not, somebody else would say, man, that's not right. But if it resonates and makes me write a song, then to me, that's, some people want guitars because of value, or some people want guitars so they can play fast or a certain way. I usually want a guitar that speaks to me, that makes me, want to write a song. So. Sure.
Yeah. I relate to that. I know you do too. And you can get into the amps too. I mean, it's overwhelming. I'm just a drummer, but I'm watching Paul and Dave here switch out amps and shit all the time. It's like, oh, well, that sounds really good too, but it always sounds different, man. I mean, it's a lot of tinkering around to find that sound,
Yeah. I'm kind of different with amps. If I find something that works, I kind of stick with it. I rotate the guitars out, but I played Friedman's for about 5 years until I got the Fender deal, and then I played Friedman and Fender both on the last 2 recordings. But now I got a pair of twins I'm using in stereo, and I've been using a lot more fuzz and a lot different pedals. So I'm using all Fender amps. So, but if I find something I like with that, those are really tools. They don't usually inspire me to write a song the way a guitar does. So I'll stick with an amp forever.
Right. That's cool. Do you relic your guitars? And how do you feel about that?
I relic them not on purpose. Man, I tell you what, I would rather buy a relic guitar than a new shiny guitar, just because I am the world's worst at. If you give me something nice and shiny within 2 days, it's going to have 3 dings in it and a couple scratches. I'm horrible with that. But if I buy a guitar that's already somewhat relic, and then I turn around and sell it 2 weeks later, whoever I sell it to, they don't know what I've dinged up on it and what
Right.
came dinged from the factory. So I don't like them usually, completely beat to hell where it looks stupid, but I like them where they're a little bit broken in and they already have some scratches on it. I find that I enjoy them more. I don't worry as much about scratching them, and it's kind of just like buying a pair of broken in jeans versus, something that's for that reason. But everybody's got their thing, man. Some people really like the relics. Some people want them brand new and glossy. I hear people say, well, man, I want to buy it brand new and glossy and break it in myself
Right.
over like 20 years. And that's great. But I don't know. I don't have any friends that have been playing the same guitar for 20 years. And the guitars from the 60s that really look like that, man, they were played in honky tonks and
Right.
juke joints for 30 to 50 years to make them look like that. So
Yeah, that's the real relic. I was listening to a podcast with Kirk Hammett. Who was that? What podcast? It was Dean Del Rey's podcast.
yeah, I listened to that.
Yeah, the one who's talking about Greenie and all that.
Yeah.
Damn, that was an amazing story. It's worth listening to. But I mean, just him talking about it, Kirk being who he is, Kirk Hammett from Metallica, he he has a broker that goes out and searches for these guitars, and he's like, man, I don't want a guitar that I got to pay $2 million for, even though that dude could totally afford it. But I guess he got that guitar like on just a steal, and the steal
he got
was like,
that guitar. I think about $185,000 to $200,000, and I'll tell you right now, if that guitar was offered to me for that price, I would sell everything I own to get it. I'm a huge Fleetwood Mac Peter Green fan, and that is those guitars. A '59 Les Paul is worth $300,000 to $800,000,
right.
anyway. But that guitar in particular, to me, that's the pinnacle. That's the most valuable guitar in the world to me.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I'm envious.
Wouldn't you be
Of
scared?
Kurt. Man, well, and you know what? The thing about it, when I heard that Kurt had that, I thought, man, out of all the people that should have that guitar, why's Kirk Hammett got it? Because he doesn't, like, that's heavy music, and it's not a blues rock type thing. And then when you listen to the podcast, the reverence he has for the guitar and the history and everything else, I'm not for sure anybody is better to have that guitar. He's perfect for that guitar, and I am glad that he has it.
Yeah,
So,
and he's played it on Metallica albums too. He's done all the heavy shit with it. So it's like
yeah.
And those guitars are meant to be played, man. They're not meant to be put into a glass case in some stockbroker's house,
I 100% agree.
I hope that Gibson. I heard that they are getting back to more of the kind of the handmade style as opposed to like the cheaper bullshit that they were doing a few years ago, because they almost went bankrupt, if I'm not mistaken. So
They did file bankruptcy.
Yeah.
did they? Yeah.
They have made quite a few very profound mistakes.
Right. Which, live and learn. As long as they live and learn, you got to keep that. That's an American icon, man. I mean, that's American iconic brand. Hopefully it will last and stay the test of time. But they have to do the right thing, and that means probably getting back to more of a quality mindset.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, I know you have a new EP coming out. What is it called, and when can we hear it?
It is called Black Sunset, and we will have it mixed probably by the end of this coming week. And I'm shooting for, I'll probably put the single out 3 weeks. So probably a month from now, the first single will be out, and then the rest of the EP will come out probably a week following that. It's fairly heavy and fairly dark for our usual stuff, probably darker and heavier than what we've done in the past, but it's kind of between watching the news and all the doom and gloom leading up to the thing. It's an EP about hypocrisy and a lot of the nonsense that's out there just kind of filtered into that. So but I have been listening, and it's funny, man. You guys are probably the same. I was listening to a lot of Black Crowes before we did this, and I was listening to, like, everything that I was listening to kind of crept in. So to me right now, it's the favorite thing that I've ever done because it sounds like all the things that I love.
Right.
You know, and that changes. That may change 2 weeks after it's out, but right now, I just love it. So
right on, man.
Cool, man. Looking forward to it.
Okay, brother, we'll let you go for now. We'll catch up again soon. Maybe I'll grab Brian up from Instagram. We'll do another podcast with him so we can do double Cold Stares and get the news out for this new EP soon. But I can't wait to see you guys live again, man, and maybe we can play with you when we get our shit together, which hopefully is soon. You know, we're working on it.
Absolutely love to, and you guys are always welcome to come to Evansville and play with us, or if we're anywhere close, man, we'd love to do a show. We've got to get back up there. Our plan was to get back up there anyway, and we were going to do a run in New York this year and head through there on the way up. So
I have relatives in Monrovia, so maybe we'll is that close to you guys?
Monrovia is not too far.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
man. Next time I come out, maybe we'll just go get dinner or something. Excuse me, jeez. That'd be cool.
Yeah, would love to, man.
I'll hit you
Absolutely.
up, man. Okay, man. Well, take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good, fellas. I'll send you Brian's phone number, and then maybe you can chat drums with him.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Make sure he's not losing his shit. And he's got 16 bass drums for you next time.
yeah. Keep him in check for me, please.
I'll keep him on the 4-piece.
There you go.
All right, man.
Thank you.
Take it easy, brother.
All right, man. See you.
Bye-bye.